Do it, can you? You're not going to do it. You're not going to be able to do it. And welcome back to the Midday Show. I am Jeff Everett. He is Mark Messina. We're going to party like it's 2019 today. You know why? I'm pretty sure it's going to be Biden and Trump. So we're going to party like it's 2019. Blue check marks, some NFL draft thoughts. It's been a while since we've been on. I'm sure it's going to be a chaotic show. We're going to bounce around. Mark, how are you feeling today?
Apparently 4 years younger.
Um, 2019. Do we really want to go back to 2019?
Let me start with this.
Go ahead.
I've said forever.
Yeah.
That there's no way Biden's running again. I still believe it. I don't.
You don't think he's going to run?
If he wins, he would be 86 years old.
Yeah.
By the time at the end of this. So the question then what
does it bother you? Like as a Democrat who would most likely vote for Joe Biden, does it bother you that he would be 86 at the end?
Yes.
Because go ahead.
What are the just like in sports, you would never give, unless it's Tom Brady, you would never give a 39-year-old quarterback a 6-year deal.
Interesting.
She's like, mathematically, what are the? There has to be a scientific, physiological percentage that his mental capacities are not at 100% at the age of 86. Just take a cross section of society.
Mm-hmm.
So what would happen if the leader of the free world, what is the process for it? Like at home, somebody can take grandpa's car keys away. Mm-hmm. What's the legal process when they're like he doesn't if he started slipping?
Do you think he's slipping already? Because that's another big topic too.
It's another debate.
I'm biased. I think he recently, like if you look over the last 6 months, like it's not great.
Well, imagine the stress that
you and I've talked before. It's almost an impossible, in a weird way, it's an impossible job. Like when you think about what the job would have been 150 years ago versus what the job is now to be the leader of the free world. Right. It's like, and I know they have staffs, they have diplomats, they have all these people doing all these things, but it really is an impossible job, regardless of what side of the aisle you are, your age, your gender. It's an impossible job in a way.
So then to go this back to our original conversation, I was thinking, is there a possibility?
Do you have your mic on?
Do I not?
Yeah, you got it hit under your thing there, but go ahead. What were you saying?
Oh, sorry, my bad. Let me just my makeup people.
Yeah, you're good.
With this one, I kind of got a different clip. There we go. Is there a chance that the Democratic Party is thinking, who's our best chance to win? It's the incumbent, because I don't know who would be next.
Okay.
We will get him in, and then he will resign. Is there any possibility of that?
I wouldn't put anything past either party right now. Right now, this is because I don't know how far, I don't want to say it's like a conspiracy thing, but right now, I feel like the Democratic Party has kind of shifted into just don't lose it. Just whatever it takes to keep the House, just keep it, and then we will figure it out. And if that means making sure that we don't have to have Biden debate over the next year or so, if it means we have to pay for Republican candidates that we know we can beat over the past year. Everything right now just feels kind of in conserve mode. It's just just keep it.
Lead, they're trying to run the clock out.
Yes. And and that is, I've said before, it's a horrible way to coach. It's not fun. Anybody who's ever coached, it's not fun to try to just keep a lead. It's stressful. You're not really doing the best you can. It's not fun doing it. I feel more so than maybe any administration before in the past, any party in the past, that is the Democratic Party right now. It's Just hold the ball, just try to get to the next quarter, and then like we'll try to realign or figure it all out.
It is a fascinating time in history.
Yeah. And by the way, we said all this, we haven't said Trump's name once yet. So imagine, I mean, so when you say it's a fascinating moment, I mean, this is crazy.
It is. It really is. I am. People tell me that, and my Republican friends try to get me fired up about Biden, and I am steadfast. Like he's not. He can't run.
Well, as I talk, go ahead. Try to turn your mic on again.
It's still up.
No, is it still on? Turn it off and turn it back on. Yeah, turn it on. Do you know how to turn it off and turn it back on? You can do it. You're capable. I believe in you. It's like Joe Biden. Joe Biden's capable still. He could do this, right? If Joe Biden's mic went off on the stage, he'd be able to figure it out, right?
Did you I am not as technologically savvy as you. Is it back on now? Because I have it back on. Is it?
Yep. I think go ahead. Say something again.
The fact that you just asked,
I think you're good.
Do I know how to turn it off and turn it back on? Serious. It's the power button.
I hope so. I hope so. So I don't know. I think it's fascinating right now because they did come out, like they have rearranged the schedule for the Democratic preliminaries, like the preems. The schedule has shifted to like kind of like help Biden's schedule out, which they've never, my understanding is they have not done that before. And then also too, they've basically come out and said that like he doesn't have to debate, which is also, I mean, it's, it's your party, you do what you want. Trust me, the Republicans will do what they want. So I'm not sitting here like saying like those darn Democrats doing whatever they want, but everything lately has been like shifted towards this gear of like, don't rock the boat. We're in, stay in, and just don't risk it. But I think that's going to it feels like it's going to backfire.
To go back to the original point, I mean, when we think of Obama, when we think of Bush, younger Bush, and we think of Clinton, like how old? Bush wasn't 60 yet, was he?
The older Bush, younger, I don't think he was 60 yet.
50.
I'd be shocked if he was in his 60s.
How mentally and physically taxing the job would have been for them in the prime of their life.
Yeah.
So to only imagine what it would be like for somebody like that.
So do you feel at all? They talked about this they actually talked about this on Bill Maher, and then I think they talked about this on what was the other podcast I was listening to? I think it was a Vox one. Just like the whole concept of ageism. Like at what point? Like I don't know if I'm buying like the whole ageism argument because we have all these stipulations put in place when you're growing up. Why would we not apply them or have stipulations for growing old?
Well, ageism is kind of just like every other aspect, but there's a reason that it exists. Like you said, people, you can't just drive a car when you can press the gas and steer the steering wheel. So on the flip side of it, there are precautions. And again, in the business world, in the sports world, you wouldn't, you don't sign athletes to contracts
that are too old.
At the end. I'm sure for performers like Springsteen, who's in his 70s, who apparently is killing it on this tour, but like they have to. I'm sure he can't play the schedule he played when he was 27.
Sure.
Not just from his voice, but from everything else. So, yeah,
it's one of the only things I like vehemently disagree with right now with Bill Maher is he's on this whole ageism thing. And I'm thinking to myself, like, yeah, like if you're allowed to say a 14-year-old doesn't have the mental capacity to do X, I don't see why it's unfair to say that there's probably a percentage of Americans that are 60 plus, 70 plus, 80 plus that are like incapable of doing X.
No,
I don't find that ageism, but that's like the big word right now.
And I'm sure there are, 85-year-olds who are sharp as they've ever been.
Absolutely, 100%.
But you're right. I'm sure there are also 14-year-olds who could drive.
I'm sure there's 16-year-olds that shouldn't. Like like there's tests and you have to go through the process, and I don't know, like we act as if to put older people through some sort of like process, like to put them through some sort of thing is like this ageist act, and I don't view it that way.
Well, the other aspect too is it doesn't mean that they can't have a place in government.
Mm-hmm.
That Biden could certainly be an advisor to
Sure.
whoever, and he could play a prominent role without being,
Did you? Well, he talked about. Mar also talked about the whole Feinstein issue. Have you seen any of this? She's basically was like incoherent performing her duty. I can't remember if she was in the House or Senate, but she was basically for almost over 2 years now. Literally moments where she doesn't know where she is. She doesn't know who she's talking to. Yeah. Cannot remember her staff's names. Really just wild stuff. And on one hand, Mar does this whole thing where he's like, this is absurd. You have to be able to perform the duty, get her out of her house. But in the same breath, he's kind of defending the Biden thing of why does it matter if he's old? And I'm like, I just don't know if you can have it both ways. It just doesn't compute to me. And I get I don't care that I don't care that Joe Biden is old. I think to your point, it's just where are you at? Because there's people. My grandmother's in her 80s and walks miles every day, and I'm not exaggerating. I don't know exactly how far.
Walk miles every day?
Me, I do not.
Can you stop stealing my punchline?
So I don't even think I'm sitting here saying there needs to be age cutoffs or anything like that, but it is weird. Now we're gonna have this real conversation about age, and what's even crazier, Trump's only 4 years younger, 5 years younger. It's not even that big of a gap either. The other way too.
No, I get it.
We knew this was coming, right? Well, you didn't, because you didn't think Biden was going to run.
I still don't. He hasn't run yet.
He's going
to. There's a lot of talk before the game.
Who would the Democrats even throw out? Do you know? Have you read up or anything?
That's maybe part of it. At least the Republicans have, DeSantis, who's.
But I'll tell you what. He's losing steam.
Yeah, I know.
Fast.
I know.
Quickly.
He came out of the gate too early at the wrong time, and yes, I'm with you. But I don't know who knows.
Well, this is the other. I forget who was saying this, and I completely agree with him. DeSantis is one of those people that you kind of see the headline or you listen to the sound clip and you think you have an idea. If you watch him for more than 3 minutes or you really read into what he has to say, there's not a lot of depth there, and it runs off very quickly after you watch him for 3. He's not as charismatic as the initial headline or video clip makes him out to be. He's a little dull, and he's not. Trump is entertaining for better and for worse. Absolutely. And so now that I've kind of dove into DeSantis and I've watched him, picturing him on the same stage as Trump, Trump is going to steal the show within 30 seconds. He's going to roll over him.
Yeah, I wonder if that's part of it too, that either party doesn't really know who's next. Well, the Republican Party seemed like they knew who was next, but even when he was at his top of his game, DeSantis wasn't as high in the polls as he needed to be.
Yeah. There's going to be some names coming up, though. Nikki Haley keeps coming up. There's a Kennedy that keeps coming up. I need to dive into that one as well, too. So there's going to be some names on both sides of the party that start to creep out, but I just don't.
No, I'm with you.
I don't know how they compete. What you haven't had a chance to say anything lately. What do you want to say? What do you want to tell the people?
We have all these lists.
What's going on? What's going on in your world?
I wanted to say that the Seattle Kraken were the second team in NHL history, or first.
Yeah.
All 7 games of a 7-game series.
That's incredible.
It's hard to do.
Very hard to do.
Yeah, I don't know. It's just been it. I think the weather has just. It was so nice, and we knew in April when it was 80, and we're like,
yeah. Doesn't the rain save you though from the allergies?
Doesn't
saves
me immensely.
Okay.
I was dying.
Okay.
Allergy sufferers were suffering.
Okay.
And my eyes itched this April.
Yeah.
More than because usually I have eyes and sinuses, but usually my sinuses are way worse. My eyes have never. When I say never been this bad, I'm probably exaggerating, but I don't remember the last time they've been this bad.
Yeah.
So then the rain and the cold has really helped that.
Okay.
But it also sucks. This.
It does. I wanted to dive into the NFL draft with you a little bit, just because we haven't had a chance to talk about it. She's a pretty lady. I do want to talk about Will Levis and the whole just not getting drafted aspect to it, because I think there's I used to not feel bad for people when they didn't get drafted.
You can just end it right there.
Did you
never felt bad for people?
Well, did you when Aaron Rodgers sat in the green room? Did you feel bad for Aaron Rodgers?
I do, because the whole world is watching.
Okay.
And they're watching you be uncomfortable.
So, but see that, like, uncomfortable, it's weird because uncomfortable isn't a choice, but you accepted an invitation to go be on television. Okay, so I'm just saying, like, to say he's uncomfortable, it's not like they came to his house and barged in with the cameras. Like, you accepted an invitation to go sit down, not necessarily knowing what was about to play out. Now, here's where I have flipped. Here's where I feel this is the part now where, and maybe this has changed over time. Somebody broke down the math after pick 5. So for anyone who doesn't know, Will Levis was supposed to be a top 5 pick, projected to be a top 5 pick. No one thought he'd fall out of the top 10. And he ended up not going in the first 31 picks. He didn't go in the entire first round. So someone sat down and did the math, and they figured out that he lost just under $1.5 million every 8 minutes when his name didn't get called. And so I feel like 10 years ago, 20 years ago, yes, people were losing money, but they weren't losing $50 million in 3 hours. Like, Will Levis on national TV lost $50 million, and every 5 minutes the camera cut to him, and you had to see how he was feeling. And so I have almost done.
That's not. He didn't lose.
Yeah. And think about this too. It's not. Why is there no way?
Because how much do? What is? So the top.
Well, not only that. Well, not only that. The first round is guaranteed. Second round, like, the guaranteed money drops off significantly.
Yeah, but I mean, it's all negotiated.
I'm just telling you.
I know he doesn't have a lot of leverage.
I will be curious then to see what, like, Anthony Richardson's contract is versus Will Levis's, and, like, the 30 pick difference. But the estimate came out. They think it's $1.5 million from pick 5 to pick the end of the first round. $1.5 million a pick that Will Levis was losing.
Yeah, I mean, I do get that. There's also the aspect do you end up in a better situation?
Mm-hmm.
Because there are lots of guys, there are lots of quarterbacks who went 1, 2, 3 that never made it. And they never made it because the team around them wasn't that good.
Would you rather be in a worse situation and $50 million richer, or would you rather have $50 million less and be in a better situation?
If it's definitely 50, I get it. But you look at
why do you not think it's 50?
Because it's not like the top quarterback pick gets $100 million.
Well,
they have ranges.
I understand that, but the range is significantly higher to be in the top 5 than to be a second round pick.
But it's not $50 million.
It's significant.
The number 1 pick in the draft can't make $50 million.
I think they can now with the scale.
Oh, I thought the scale was way lower.
I mean, I can look it up for us, but that was the estimate. The estimate was $1 million from pick, basically once the Colts passed on him at pick 4 until the Titans traded up to get him.
Well, anyway, the point is, like, when you look at what Jalen Hurts just got, who was a second round pick. When you look at what Lamar Jackson got, who was a late first round pick.
Okay.
Maybe he was a second round pick.
I think Lamar ended up being a second round pick.
When you look at what Dak Prescott's making, and he was a 4th round pick.
Okay, so sorry, not to cut you off. So just for an example, the signing bonus for the first overall pick is around $16 million.
Okay.
The signing bonus for the 15th pick is around 5.5.
Okay, that's 11.
So that's the signing bonus, Mark.
Okay.
So just in signing bonus, the difference from, like, the 5th to the second round has to be at least $15 million.
But your contract.
Do you understand what I'm saying?
Correct.
Okay, so now I understand.
You can't get a $50 million rookie contract.
And if their signing bonus is $15 million, you don't think that their contract can be worth $50?
More in signing bonus. Like, there is because of the players union and stuff to help the older players, there is a rookie salary scale.
Yes. So according to Bleacher Report, the rookie salary sale in 2017, the total cap was 7.7 a year for the number 1 pick.
Okay.
That was 2017.
Okay.
So I'll try to find 2023, but I mean, it's going to be significantly higher than that. And that's 1 year.
Correct, but your rookie, you can only get so long of a contract.
I agree. How long do you think it is? 3 years, 4 years, 5?
Four.
So let's say it's 10, and I think that's a safe estimate considering that it was 7 in 2017.
Mm-hmm.
That's 40 million plus your signing bonus. You're already over 50 million.
But Will Levis is going to make money.
You
He's
think
not gonna
Will
sign for $100,000?
I agree. Do you think he's going to sign for $1 million a year?
Oh my God. Yes.
Okay, so if he signs for $1 million a year, that's a $50 million difference.
He's going to sign a 4-year deal for.
You know what's funny
$30
about this argument is like you're the math guy. Like you're the, like these numbers should be making sense.
He's still going to make real money. He's going to make.
I agree. He's going to make. Listen, I'm not crying for Will Levis. He's an NFL quarterback and he's going to sign an NFL contract.
And
we're
arguing like it may have cost him 20, 25 million. I think 50 is a little steep, but also at the end of the day, for him to be in a good situation, because Tennessee doesn't suck, and for him to end up in a good situation where they have a chance to win like that.
I get it. No, so if he performs, yes, he's going to make out. So according to Sporting News 2 days ago, he got a $3.9 million signing bonus, and his cap hit is going to be $1.73 million over 4 years.
Say that again. Sorry.
He got $1.73 million cap hit for over 4 years.
Who's this?
The Sporting News.
Is about who?
Oh my gosh. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Sporting News. Will Levis's contracts. Okay. $3.94 million signing bonus.
Okay.
He's $1.73 million cap hit on a 4-year deal. So basically $8 million over 4 years.
Well, are you sure they're not talking that the signing bonus is the cap hit?
No. Cap hit of $1.73 million. They estimate that the total value is just under $10 million. So $3.94 million signing bonus, a cap hit of $1.73 million for 4 years starting in 2023. So this is the point I'm making to you. It's a lot of money. It's more than what you think it is. It's closer to 50 than 25. I promise you. Like, I'm not making these numbers up. I'm not throwing them out of thin air. I've read them in reports that they think he lost around $50 million.
Maybe.
No, I'm telling you, like, that is the math. That's the math. Like, I'm looking at it and I'm reading it to you and I'm letting you know Will Levis lost $50 million on live TV on one of the most viewed things on television.
But his girlfriend got 72 bajillion Google hits of Will Levis's girlfriend.
You know how much money she gets for the Google hits? Zero.
Oh, she's gonna make
the social media stuff, if she dives into it.
She's gonna make a lot.
You think so? What's her name?
Will Levis's girlfriend.
What's her name?
That's what they Google search.
What's her name?
It doesn't matter. It's Will Levis.
It helps to make money with your brand if people know your name and you're not Will Levis's girlfriend.
But she will make a lot of money when people Google search Will Levis's girlfriend. It comes up.
How does she make money when people Google search for Will Levis's girlfriend?
Because she's going to make an Instagram page that says Will Levis.
So if she dives into the social, yes, she will make some money.
Doesn't she already have a
I would imagine she does, but I don't know if she's like a marketer. Like, I don't know if she's actually like a brand ambassador.
I read that she had a lot of followers already.
Mm-hmm.
The fact that she's a senior at Penn State is just because he was obviously.
So she has one more year, or she is.
I'm guessing she is a senior now.
Okay.
And she's just finished.
Interesting. So you don't feel bad for Will Levis. He's got a hot girlfriend. He's going to play. It doesn't matter. You're like, if you lost $50 million, it's whatever.
It would the whole. There's so much speculation with the drafts, and it would be really frustrating.
Mm-hmm.
But I think it's like fantasy football drafts, and anyone who's ever been into this, like I tell people, when you're talking about, there's only so many teams that are going to draft a quarterback.
Mm-hmm.
And since I don't play fantasy football anymore because it's time suck, this is what people are like, a quarterback's going, then I'm taking everybody else.
Mm-hmm.
Because I'm thinking all those people aren't taking quarterback again.
Sure.
So just because one went and one went and one went, I'll go somewhere else. They're not taking them. These people don't need them, so I can let it slide.
Yeah.
And I can let it slide and slide. I remember Brady Quinn was one. They thought Cleveland was going to take him at 3.
Mm-hmm.
Cleveland passed on him at 3 and got him at 23.
Yeah.
Because there's only so many people out there that are going to take quarterbacks. So if a team like Tennessee or whatever was like, well, we'll let him slide.
So one of my favorite things to do in fantasy drafts, and I did this like a couple of times, is if I didn't like where I was in the draft, I would just use like my first 5 picks on the best quarterback I could take. Because what I would do then is throughout the season, someone would need a quarterback. And now instead of me trying to project who's going to be the stud running back or stud wide receiver before week 1, now I get to know like 6 weeks in, and I would swap one of those quarterbacks to get a running back or wide receiver that was actually performing. So there is a strategy actually in fantasy football because people are nerds and people figure that stuff out. But there is like a draft as many quarterbacks as you can, but you got to do it like round 1 through 4. You just go quarterback, 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 and you just bank on the fact that come week 4, week 5, week 6, owners are going to get desperate and they're going to want one of those best quarterbacks. And then now you don't have to guess who the best wide receivers and the best running backs are. You've had 5 weeks to watch and figure it out.
Fair.
Yeah.
You know what I always did? I didn't say always. Number one, my first 3 picks were tight end, not in this particular order.
Sure.
Tight end, wide out, running back.
Uh-huh.
I was not taking a quarterback in the top 3 rounds.
Yeah.
Because I could get one.
You go one way or the other, right? You don't want to be in the middle. You want to be all the way out in the end or all the way at the beginning.
I was always getting a quarterback who could run.
Mm-hmm.
I won 1 year with Tim Tebow.
Yeah.
Because he ran enough and scored enough.
Mm-hmm.
I did really well with Cam Newton. I think I had Cam Newton the year he won his MVP, so I kind of got lucky with that one.
Yeah.
But I would rather have, like, if I was a fantasy football player, like Daniel Jones would be right in my wheelhouse because he runs enough.
Sure.
That obviously I'd rather have Lamar, but just any quarterback that's going to run for 40 or 50 yards a week, and all of a sudden he mixes into a touchdown here and there.
Yeah.
But I would load up because to me, tight end was the one spot.
Yeah.
That there's about 3 or 4 really good ones, and I want one of them.
But tight end's tricky, right? Because if you do, like, sometimes you're not in the right place to take it. Like if you're at the beginning of the draft and those top 2 or 3 tight ends go like 12, 13, 14 before, like then you don't have it. Like you're out of. So the tight end strategy is weird because you either fall into it or you fall out of
Sometimes
it. You don't
get no shot.
You don't really get a choice of whether or not you want to do the tight end strategy early. That's just my opinion.
So now you want to talk hockey?
No, I hate hockey. We can talk NBA playoffs. You want to talk NBA playoffs?
I should say this. Even people who hate the Steelers.
Yeah.
The Joey Porter Jr. story is fun.
Yeah.
It is really fun, and you have to be happy for, Penn State fans and Steeler fans, and to see that marriage. It kind of like when it showed up.
Yeah.
And I walked in the room. My son was watching. It's like the Steelers have to take.
Yeah. Here's my naive football thought about Joey Porter. All these teams came out and they said afterwards, like they thought he didn't have like big playmaking ability, like he didn't have enough turnover, interceptions, stuff like that. But like. Also, the same people are the ones that are like, well, turnovers are unpredictable. Like you never, and I'm thinking to myself, like you're telling on one hand, on a team level, they're unpredictable. You just never know. It is what it is. But then an individual player, you pass on him because he doesn't have enough intercept. I was like, it doesn't make any sense to me.
No, I'm with you. It is a fun story.
I like that one.
I'm not happy for the Steelers. I don't like the Steelers, but
NBA playoffs. I told you. First time, I believe it's the first time ever that a 1 seed, a 2, a 3, a 4, a 5, a 6, a 7, and 8 all won a first round playoff.
It has to be the first time.
Has to be. What's crazier too is that the seeding isn't balanced. So like the 5 and the 8 on the same side won. So it's not like the 1 and the 8 play each other and the 4 and the 5 play each other. The 1 and the 4 are playing each other in the West, and the 5 and the 8 are playing each other in the East, and vice versa on the bottom.
Oh yeah, I saw that.
So it's a weird NBA thing right now. We do get Steph Curry, LeBron, which is incredible that we get that again. I didn't think we would ever get to see like the whole Stephen Curry, LeBron James. I had an argument via text. Like I think Stephen Curry.
Well, first of all, I can't believe this. I don't even know where it's going, but I can't believe you had an argument.
I did. I think Stephen Curry's like one of the best 5 basketball players ever. I don't even think it's an argument.
Well, before I get to this just popped in my head. I want to say it because as you remind me every now and then, I'm old. And, my daughter did watch our last show, and she did text me and say, yes, I can text left-handed because that was one of our topics.
I think most kids can.
Possible. One of the things that I saw, and I don't remember who's talking, the dude, the left-hander that played with the Fab Five, it's on ESPN.
Jalen Rose.
I think it was him when they were talking about the best ball handlers of all time and had Steph Curry at like 3. And he said, what's unfortunate is because he's such a good shooter, people don't understand what he can do with the basketball.
Yeah.
And so it's one of those
his
things.
he does. There's a handful of things, and I try not to be too nerdy, that people don't understand. He's probably the best one-handed passer in the history of basketball. Like maybe Magic Johnson, I remember, used to throw like a lot of like one-handed shovel passes and transitions. If you watch some of the swing passes Curry makes at his size, left and right-handed, one hand on the ball, and he's just like winging it, and it hits him right in the hands. It's just a thing you don't think about.
He's just different.
Well, here's the other thing too. He doesn't stop moving. Like, this isn't like he takes a possession off and he's saying, the guy probably covers more ground in an NBA game than anybody else.
Do you think he gets his 10,000 steps in?
It's unbelievable. Like, people used to talk about how Reggie Miller running off these screens. He's like doubling what Reggie Miller runs on a basketball court. And he's doing it at a time where, like, on the other end, he can't hide. Like, he's got to guard other guards on the other side of the floor.
Are we to the point where we got with Jordan and the Jordan became the best of all time? Like Tom Brady has become the best quarterback of all time. There's no argument about it.
Mm-hmm.
Is it just universally understood that Steph Curry is the best shooter of all time?
Yeah, I don't think there's even an argument. But see, the problem, though, is like people settle into that. And I'm like looking at him and like, you realize he's one of the best players.
That's
like,
why.
And not like a top 10, top 20. Like, I'm saying, like, it's like Jordan, it's like LeBron, it's like Russell, Kareem, and Curry. Like he is like,
no, I get it.
To me, he's ahead of Magic. He's ahead of Bird. Like, he has surpassed like Shaq and all. Like, and not only this, he's the only one out of those like Bird and Magic had to play each other.
Right.
Curry is the only one who has like done it against another person in LeBron. Like, he has had to kind of do all of this during the same time LeBron has done it, which to me makes it even more unbelievably impressive. Like, for him to have 4 championships at the same time that LeBron James played in the league is absurd.
No, I'm with you. That's why I brought up the Jalen Rose comment about his ball.
Yeah.
Because you're right. People just, there's a level of people think he's Ray Allen or Reggie Miller.
Right.
And he's just so much more.
He's one of the best.
Although Ray Allen was Jesus Shuttleworth.
He was.
And Steph Curry's not.
So they just did a rewatchable podcast on that where they go through and they dive into it. And I rewatched it. Every time I watch it, it's a little better. I appreciate it a little more every time I watch He Got Game.
They said that, was it Spike Lee talking? It was either Spike Lee talking or Denzel talking, that every time they filmed a basketball scene,
Mm-hmm.
they said Ray Allen, just don't get hurt.
Yeah.
Just whatever, just don't get hurt.
Yeah.
So,
well, you do know. So the scene where they first play each other, that's a real thing. Like, that was not staged. And Denzel scored like the first 3 buckets, and Ray Allen was like getting, like kind of upset. But like you said, he was kind of worried about getting hurt. So you can imagine as they're filming, here's Ray Allen trying to decide like,
how hard do I play?
Like, how hard do I play? Like, Denzel just made 3 baskets in a row, and that wasn't staged. Like, the bank shot that goes in, like, that happened. Like, it wasn't. Yes. And so there's this whole dynamic of like, and Denzel played junior college, I think it was. Like, Denzel is not shabby. Like, he knows what he's doing. He's obviously not a Ray Allen, but he's a basketball player. And you could see like Ray Allen, like, if you watch the movie back, you can kind of see the wheels turning for Ray Allen. Like, kind of, what do I
did not know that.
What do I do here? Like, how? Now, eventually, obviously, Denzel misses and Ray Allen turns it on. But that was I believe on the podcast, I said that was a 2-shot scene. Think about that.
Oh,
2 shots.
They just cut it.
They filmed it through the first time, and then they looked at it, and then they came back the second time and said, like, we need at least this once, and we need at least this once, and then they played for a little while. Done. I mean, in most movies, that's a 30-shot scene, a 40-shot scene. 2.
That's awesome. Because
of just what happened at the beginning of it, and it just played into the film perfectly. Yeah.
What did I read? Oh, that this was a clickbait thing of the Dirty Dancing scene.
Mm-hmm.
I've seen Dirty Dancing.
I have.
Where well, first of all, I'll backtrack more. Apparently, Jennifer Grey and Patrick Swayze did not get along.
Okay.
At least going into it.
Okay.
And that he had requested somebody. I guess they worked together in something else and did not like each other.
Okay.
And one of them was requesting that the other be replaced. And it was probably Patrick Swayze. He probably more cachet at the time.
Okay.
But anyway, be that as it may. When they're crawling around on the dance room floor or whatever, they were just warming up.
Okay.
That wasn't, but the cameras were rolling and then they're joking around. I think they're singing and stuff like that.
Okay.
But it was just because Patrick Swayze was a dancer. Like he was in a comp. So they were just like, hey, you guys like warm up and do something. And they're just like doing this stuff. And then because it looked so natural and fun, because it was natural.
It was
fun,
natural.
It wasn't scripted. It wasn't on.
That's why it worked.
Put it in the movie.
Yeah.
So yeah, I just read that. Unless the clickbait I read was fabricated.
Stories like that are fascinating. I don't know if you have any recommendations. I wanted to throw it to you. We watched Boston Strangler last week.
Okay.
Hulu movie, Keira Knightley. There's a couple of other famous people in it. Really well done. It's what they do is they tell the story from the perspective of the newspaper writers who covered it and basically did more than the police did. Like they basically were the ones that broke the case open, did most of the investigation. And even more fascinating, it was two female reporters who were trying to kind of break through at the time. Because you can imagine being a female trying to break through like Northeastern newspapers back then.
I don't know.
50s, 60s.
Okay.
Yeah. So Boston Strangler, it's not like this gory like murder type of movie. It's actually historically really, really interesting. And if you like writing or you're into like investigative, really, really well done.
Well, when you look at not to tote our industry not to pat our industry on the back, but when you look at the times, whether it was Watergate, whether it was Sandusky, whether the movie Spotlight with the priest child sex abuse thing. Yeah. Lots of these stories were broken by investigative reporters. Yeah. Because the police have been unable.
The one thing that, and this is like super nitpicky, the one thing that I did say about it, because they pretty much throw the police under the bus of the movie, like basically saying they didn't do enough. And I don't disagree with that, like given the story and the context that I understand. But the one thing that I don't understand, like these newspaper writers, that was their job. That's all they're doing. Like they're going around and trying to figure out what to write about the story, and they're interviewing victims and they're interviewing neighbors and like they're going through all this stuff. If you're a police department, like the world doesn't stop. Like you still have all of these other things that you have to, like when there's a robbery an hour later, like you've got to go cover the robbery. Like it's not. You're right. And so I do think at times, sometimes movies like that, they don't lay credence to the idea of like, yes, it is valuable, like you hinted at, but also too, like it is their job. Like they're supposed to, like if you're good at your job and you're an investigative reporter, you should almost be a step ahead of the police because you're spending way more time and resources actually diving into
You're probably right.
Yeah. So that'd be my
Although I'm sure the investigative reporters are also saying I have to write other stories in the meantime. I can't just write one story every 9 months.
So in this case, the one female lead, that was her job. Like she followed this story from the beginning until the end. And that was what she did. Like there was no other thing. And then she got an assistant who kind of came on with her and like helped out. But really, really fascinating. She's the lead.
I dig Keira.
Yeah.
Does she? No, she's British, correct?
Yes.
So she had a Boston accent in this?
Kinda. I thought she did a decent job.
Because that's interesting.
Yeah, I thought she did a decent job. I mean, once the movie's flowing, like I always laugh. The accent really only matters the first like 15 minutes of a movie like that. Because once the movie's going, now I'm not focused on your character. Like now I'm like, what are our motives? Where are we heading? Who was it? Him? Was it not him? But the first 15 minutes, like, yeah, you got to kind of hit the you got to hit the accent.
That way before, but you're probably right.
Yeah, you got to hit it the first like 10 or 15, and then after that, I forgive you. Like we're just doing
the
it.
Setting, then it's.
Then I'm like we're just going.
You read that somewhere. You never
I did
thought of that on your own.
No,
that's very astute.
No, that's because there's another one.
That was astuter than you.
Well, no, in The Departed, you know The Departed? Okay, so in The Departed, I believe it's is it Wahlberg? I think it's Mark Wahlberg who's like the really like foul mouth detective. So in the first like 2 scenes he's in, I mean, it is like Boston. I mean, it is 100%. And then as the movie goes along, you begin to realize like he kind of loses the accent. Not a ton, but he definitely disappears. Correct. But you can tell like those first two scenes, he's really like punching it up. Like this is a Boston drama. And like, we're here to, we're going to the bomb. We're going to solve it. And like, you can tell as the movie goes along, it gets drowned out a little more as the action picks up. But no, so that was my recommendation for you. Boston Strangler on Hulu if you have a chance.
Do you think Mark Wahlberg's career is going to turn out to be decent?
I think he's done all right for himself.
You do?
Yeah, I do. You don't think so?
No. Best Mark Wahlberg movie. Go ahead.
I mean,
besides The Fight.
I thought you were going to say besides Ted, which I love Ted. I can't say it's The Fighter. So if you don't make me say it is The Fighter. It's The Fighter.
It's either The Fighter or Ted.
I feel bad for him in The Fighter because what's his name is so good as the brother.
I thought Amy Adams was great too.
Amy Adams. Why can't I think of his brother's name? I'm having a you moment. I can't think of him.
Oh my gosh!
But it almost made Mark Wahlberg's role. It almost made him blend in a movie where he could.
He was in.
It doesn't matter. In the words of Mark Messina, no one's listening. It doesn't matter. You good? Just let it go. Just let it go. Thank you guys for watching the Midday Show. Be sure to go to NorthcentralPa.com for all of your local news.
I'm not talking over you, but I am talking over you. The mom.
Yeah, really well done.
Played his mom.
The dad's great too, the stepdad. He's got some really great comedic moments in it as well. Christian Bale.
That's it. Did you think of it or did someone send it to you?
No, I thought of it.
Ah, very good.
Thank you.
So is there, all right, well, let's look back at this then. Is it not Wahlberg's best performance? Is it just the best movie he was in?
No, it's his best performance. But I'm trying to think of like another example. I think there's times where like these people give unbelievable performances, but you're standing next to X. And so it doesn't like it drowns out how great you're doing the thing you're doing. Like you can't help.
No, I get it. I'm trying to think of what else I would. It was great. Head Body Head.
Head Body. It's the best one. And it's the best Mark Wahlberg too. Because he's almost not acting. It's very, very close to him not having to like really
What's
try.
Your favorite part of the movie? Give me your favorite part.
My favorite part is when he has to jump out of the window and his mom finds him.
Right.
And then they have to go back to the car. Because I think like super corny, I think there's a lot of mother-son scenes where like they're not earned. Like because everyone understands the relationship of a mother and a son, you don't have to earn it. And that movie does an incredible job of kind of like it builds it up. And you know at some point she's going to have to like not take his side. Like at some point she's going to have to stand her ground. She goes around the back. She sees it for herself. They come back to the car and she can't even in his lowest moment, she just can't let it go. She can't just tell him he's a bad person. She can't tell him to get out of the car. He starts singing the song and she puts it in drive and starts singing and they keep going. And to me, that is maybe the best depiction of like a mother-son relationship where like even in your lowest, most mothers will they will find a way to tolerate you and just keep moving forward. To me, it's one of the best I've ever seen.
Is it she's finding a way to tolerate him, or is it her level of still in denial that my son is
but see, that's the beauty of the scene.
As a parent, there's a lot when you come to that admission that my son is this far off the rails, there's also this level of I failed as a parent. So if you live in denial of it, like he's not that bad, then you're saying as a parent, I wasn't that bad.
But that's the beauty of the scene is because now she has seen it.
It is a great scene.
So because I agree with everything you said, but now that she has seen it, I mean, this is like when you go back to the car, you're 100% sure this is going down. Like she's either telling him to get out of the car, she's going to rip into him, like something is about to happen. And he just starts singing that song and she just can't.
My favorite scene is when he's bouncing with him.
Okay.
When they're in the middle of the fight and he starts jumping in the corner. That is just for that 3 seconds. It's like in Hunger Games when the girl goes like this to when Rue gets killed, she finds the camera. It is probably 3 seconds. It's my favorite part.
The most underrated scene, it's probably the one that my girlfriend and I like the most, is when he carries the cake to Amy Adams' house. And they have the fight on the porch, and they basically air their grievances right there on the porch. And the guy, the best part, he rings the doorbell. Amy Adams opens the window up top. She starts to come down, so he's got to wait like 10 seconds. So he turns around, and there's a guy walking his dog, and he stops. And Christian Bale just turns and looks at him and goes, "What kind of dog is that?" And the guy just keeps walking. He goes, "Okay," and turns. So instead of like, "What are you looking at?" or just, "What kind of dog is that?" Yeah. He said everything he needed to say with, "What kind of dog is that?" He basically told him to go screw the pooch by saying, "What kind of dog is that?" It's such a good movie. So there you go. Thank you guys for watching the Midday Show. Be sure to go to NorthcentralPa.com for all of your local news. Anything you want to plug? You got 10 seconds. Go.
Rangers Devils tonight, Game 7.
Okay.
That's it.
Okay.
You know what hockey does different?
Nope, that was 10 seconds. What do you got? What does hockey have that's different?
I know it's about marketing. I know it's about all this stuff. The second round does not start until the first round is over. So Denver, Phoenix are playing game 2 of the second round tonight. Golden State hasn't played game 1.
Yeah.
And they were playing Saturday night round 2 and then finished off round 1 on Sunday.
So in the first round of the NBA playoffs, the Philadelphia 76ers had swept the Brooklyn Nets on like an afternoon. And the Lakers series and the Warriors series had not even tipped off game 3 yet. Yeah. So the NBA, I mean, they have the play-in thing and stuff like that, but like the NBA scheduling is a little screwy.
And I do realize that with certain arenas,
it's hard.
Because in hockey, they try to go every other game. But there was one mess up because it might have been the Kings couldn't get into their arena because of the NBA playoffs. Or because they have a concert booked or something. Like there's times it just doesn't work out.
Sure.
But
the NBA,
the NHL is much more like these are our rules, and we don't care as much about TV because they don't have a huge TV deal.
Well, that's what I was going to say. The reason they're able to do that, the NBA's biggest concern is trying to make sure that we have something on TV every night. And I don't think that's the NHL's concern.
Well, because they don't have the TV. But yes, anyway.
There you go.
Good point.
I'm Jeff Everett. He is Mark Messina. We'll see you guys later this week.
Yes, we will.